And I'm going to mute everybody. And if you have any questions during the video at all, feel free to jump in. I can pause it. In fact, I might be pausing it to just comment on it as we go. So I'll get the screen share up. Okay. Get this. Whoop, I can't see my, there we go. Okay, here he is. He's just such a delightful, happy guy.
はい、今回はヤシの木を描いてみます。まず、細長い幹があって、その点に中心があります。その中心を元にして、放射状に葉っぱが出ています。例えて言えば、花火のような形ですね。これですね。ココナッツツリーはここに実がついています。このような葉っぱの放射状の形。でも実は、この木には奥行きがあります。例えばこの葉っぱ。こっちに出てきてる。他の。
I just want to mention a couple of things here. He is showing the growth pattern of the palm tree, how the leaves grow out radially like fireworks. And you'll notice throughout this whole presentation, he really accentuates the leaf in the front coming forward. And that's going to be really, really important. When you do your drawing though, like he's working out of his head, and actually this is just a pre-sketch to show you the growth habit, but even when he does his drawing, he's going to do it out of his head. Don't attempt that. Like he's been doing this for decades and he can work out of his head. But what I really want you to do is get a good photograph of a palm tree and try to find one where it clearly shows the leaf coming forward in the front.
葉っぱは少し奥にへっこんでいるというような立体を意識しましょう。今回は太陽は右上から来たという考えで描きます。こうですね。大きな立体です。手前に出た葉っぱ。これで描いてみましょう。はい。では、描いてみましょうね。まず形でしたね。こんな形です。では塗ってみます。最初に一番手前に来るこの葉っぱです。これから描いてみましょう。使う色は、まず緑と色です。
So he dipped his brush into the paint, and then with his fingers he spread the bristles apart so that they're kind of splayed, and they'll create that texture of the leaves coming off of the stem. If you have a fan brush, there's actually a watercolor brush called a fan brush. It's shaped like a fan and it does that same thing. And this would be a good opportunity to use it. But if you don't, you can try this splaying out, the spreading out of the tip of the brush. And notice he's using a pretty fat brush for this. He's not using a tiny, even an 8. He's using a pretty thick brush. So hopefully you'll have a big fatty that you can use for this. And he's doing a yellowish green because remember the lighter, warmer colors are going to be coming forward and the darker, cooler ones are going to be receding.
黄色っぽいね、で終わって塗っていきます。この葉の軸に当たる、これを葉柄というんですけども、これから描いて、そしてで終わって、こんなタッチで。ヤシの木の葉っぱは、細長い形するんですけども、その中の一つ一つの葉っぱはとても鋭いんですね。それを描くのに、この筆を割ります。ちょっとイエロー感、これますね。
So he's adding some yellow ochre and he's using vermilion quite a bit in this painting. If you don't have yellow ochre, you would take a yellow and just tone it down a little bit. Yellow ochre is kind of like a real muted gold. So it's a warm yellow, and you can add a touch of, like a red violet to it to kind of tone it down. And then most likely you don't have vermilion in your palette, but you can mix up vermilion by using red with a little bit of yellow added to it.
バーミヤンちょっと入れましょう。下に来ると少し葉っぱに枯れたような色が入ってますので、こんな感じです。反対側。
So also I just want to point out, he put in the initial shape of the leaves and then he did a little wet on wet, adding the yellow ochre and the vermilion.
ちょっと待ってね。では、この考えができましたので、同じ方法で。
Slightly different green here. It's a little darker. He's just going to go around. He's going to do a circle around, and then he's going to do 2 more rounds. But he's using a different green, a little darker.
傭兵を描いてから、筆を割って葉を描くんでしたね。人たちがヤシの木の葉っぱを描きますので、伸び伸びと、なおかつ慎重に描いていきます。ちょっと待った。
Is the brush pretty dry? It looks dry. A splayed one?
It's not really. He's got some pigment in there because you can see how fluid it is, when he's adding it in. I haven't actually tried this technique of spreading the brush, but it seems like there's a lot of liquidy pigment up in the upper part of the bristles that when he touches the paper, it kind of flows out, even though the tips are spread, but it's not dry.
Thank you.
はい、単なる色よりも少し変化の飛んだこんな色ですね。人たち描いていきます。
Now he's going even darker up at the top.
だんだん上の方に向かう。
And muted though, it's not a real bright green.
この辺り、重力の影響で垂直に細かい葉っぱが垂れています。こうですね。でも、先端に向かうに従って、だんだんと、このように水平に向かっていく。
So do you see that? He has these leaves dropping straight down because of gravity, but as he gets closer to the tip, they splay more horizontally like that. And just these kind of subtle things really give it life.
こういう小さいな観察も必要でしょうね。ワンパターンにならないように、この部分の違いをよく見てみましょう。さらに葉はどんどんと太陽の方向、つまり上の方に向かう状況になってきます。ですね。もちろん大きい葉っぱもあれば、少しまた短めの葉っぱもあると思います。特にこれから先、この真上に向かうようなあたりですね。ここはヤシの木の中でも一番成長点に当たる部分で、今から描くこれらの葉っぱは、いわゆる言ってみれば若葉ですね。ですので若々しい葉っぱ。そんな考えで描きます。ここは緑色が中心で、
See how much darker his greens are at the top?
バーミリオンなんかはあまり入れません。
And he's not adding the vermilion.
若葉のブルックです。
Sorry, there's some ads here that we need to go through.
まだ葉っぱもあんまり開いてないですね。
Goes in with some wet on wet there, with some darks, but it's kind of partially dry.
今度はまた下向きになってくる葉っぱですね。最初の葉っぱと同様に描いていきます。随分ヤシらしくなったでしょ。ここですね。
Look at that bold stroke of the vermilion, just plopping that in there.
ヤシの木なんでバーミリオンですかって思ったでしょ。そうこれが。
And the bold ultramarine, just.
バーミリオンの上にウルトラマリンを乗っけてみましょう。そしてそのまま放置して、今度はここです。最初に描いた葉っぱの。
Okay, so now he's starting his second round, and he's going to start putting in his darks for the shadows and also kind of the negative space behind the leaves. And this is where it's going to get the palm tree to be really more 3D, is having those darks. And I want you to notice how dark he gets here.
Carissa?
Yeah.
So was the brownish red supposed to be kind of like the husk?
It's a dead palm leaf.
Okay.
You know how the dead palms kind of hang at the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
内側は日陰ですので、暗くて冷たい色でそこを塗るんです、ね。この葉っぱの内側を描きながら、今一番手前の葉っぱの日向のところを描き起こしてもいます。これが重要で難しいところですね。葉っぱの内側の日陰を塗りながら、日向の葉っぱのトゲトゲしたところを描き起こすという作業です。
So he's doing these upward strokes with the splayed brush.
これで葉っぱが
And then he turns it on its edge.
立体が見えればいいですね。
Look at this. He scratches with his fingernails. This is a new thing I've never tried.
どうでしょうか
To get the whites. You'll see him do that more.
同じ考えで、
So he's going around,
その葉っぱの
doing this to
内
each
側に
leaf.
日陰を描いていきます。こうですね。これは若葉の部分ですね。ここはあまり日陰を強くしないで、あまり葉っぱのトゲトゲした感じを描きすぎないようにします。少しだけ影と日向を描き分けていきます。ここはみんな若葉のグループですので、同じようにまとめてみましょう。
See how dark it gets toward the center? Okay, he kind of skipped this. I wish he hadn't done that. Whoops. What did I do? Shoot. Gosh, I'm sorry. Okay, he
下の葉っぱを残すように。
how can I make this go away? Well, let me stop it when I can see it
日
better.
陰を塗るということですね。こんな風に。
Okay, this leaf right here in the center, he didn't show it, but it's pretty important because it's a leaf like that's right in the middle coming forward. But he went in with a lighter, he's got all this dark down here meeting in the center where they all converge. And then he's got this light, shorter, squatter leaf because it's foreshortened, and he did a lighter yellow green and then he scratched into it. But this is really important to not neglect the center.
書いてみてくださいね。だいぶ立体っぽく見えたでしょ。
Miss me.
God, American culture is so sick, isn't it?
こちらもそうですね。ただ、みんなどの葉っぱも同じぐらい日向と日陰があるんだということはないですね。日向が多いところ、日陰が多いところです。この葉っぱはですね、こちらの方に向かってくる葉っぱという感じ。
Yeah, there's that leaf in the
日陰はな
center.
おさら強めですね。どうでしょうか。
So he brings it out by painting the darks around it.
で、雰囲気ができているところで、
Now he's going to round 3, putting in even more darks.
さらに、これ手前の葉っぱですね。日陰をチェックして。
Did he let anything dry in between?
Yeah,
これですね
like this is dry that he's painting on top
これ
of
は
right
枯れた
now.
葉っぱなんですね。ヤシの木というのは、
It's layering. So
垂直に上の方にあるのが、
it's sometimes it's still wet, but
黒い葉っぱはみんなこうやって下の方
other
に
times it's
まあ
dry.
なってしまうんですね。なので今これもう枯れてしまって、
And he almost completely covered up that vermilion, but it still shows
黒い
through.
葉っぱを描こうとしているんです。
But look how dark, it's almost black,
そしたら
right?
バーミリオンを下に入れたんですね。同じように枯れた葉っぱといえば、例えばこれです。これは枯れた葉っぱでも、奥行きのある向こう側の方にある葉っぱとして描いています。ですので、あまり枯れた茶色っぽい色は入れすぎないようにして、単純な下向きの暗い葉っぱとして描きます。ずっとこうすると表情豊かになりますね。これで若葉も枯れ葉もできたところで。
See that contrast? That really strong, almost black against the lightest green? That's what's going to make that forward leaf pop.
一本一本の細かい葉っぱのシャープな形ですね。これ、しっかり描き落とします。ここは、このヤシの木の幹の日陰の部分です。
So he, you know, the light's coming from the right, so he's gonna paint the left side of the trunk
手前
dark
に来る葉っぱの
and the
中
right
の
side
形を
light.
描き落とすために、いろいろな日陰を活用するわけですね。次に、ちょっとボコボコした幹の下に、中に いいですね。だいぶ具体的になったでしょ。
Now some really bright
一番
green
手前に来るんでしたね。色も変化
in
し
the
てきました。
foreground, because remember, brighter
枯
will
れた
pop.
色、それからまだ新鮮な緑、そして強い日向、日陰ですね。この葉っぱがぐっと手前に出ればいいですよ。さあ、これで出来上がりです。はい、今回はヤシの木を
He's so modest, isn't he?
ポイントは、この放射状に出る枝ぶりですね。そして、その枝の奥と手前、特に手前に出てくる枝の表現です。いかがでしたか？あなたもぜひ描いてみてくださいね。それではまた。
Isn't he cute?
Carissa,
Yeah,
can you send us a link to the video so we could watch it again?
sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, he did this kind of more, it's beautiful, isn't it? So,
Beautiful.
look at the really strong contrast, especially in this area. This is what he taught. His whole intention the whole time was to have this branch coming forward. And you'll notice that this is the most contrast in the whole painting, is this really light, bright leaf, which is lighter and brighter than any of the other ones. And then the darkest contrast surrounding it right down here. And that's what gives it that three-dimensional look. And then this is that leaf. This is a tricky area right here, and he handled it really well. It's distinct, but yet it's still kind of, merging into these other ones in the background. But what I'm going to suggest you do, he did this kind of more as an exercise with just doing a palm tree on white paper, which is beautiful. But what I'm going to invite you to do, if you want, is to paint one or more palm trees in a setting. So what I would recommend is to find a good picture of a palm or two or three in an environment and paint the environment. And usually there's going to be a light blue sky. And what you could do is you could do a wash of the light blue sky first and paint the palm tree on top of it. That way with all these little tiny details of the branches, it would be tedious and kind of tricky to paint between that. If you keep your wash light enough, then the blue color will not interfere with your palm tree because there's already blue in here. And if you just keep it light enough, and you paint the palm tree darkly enough, more saturated enough, it will kind of go over it. And then you can add beach and water or whatever, down below. So any questions or comments about this video or the lesson so far?
He's adorable.
Isn't he cute?
Yeah, he has good energy.
He's a classic example of how the youthful spirit stays alive in artists because they're in their joy. He's just such a youthful sprite, even though I think he's probably pretty old. And so modest. This time I tried to paint a palm tree. That's like, totally modest, really cute.
He put the fruit, the nuts in his drawing, his first sketch.
Yeah, he didn't include those in this tree though. I noticed that too. But they would be, kind of squeezed in, kind of behind, like they're hanging down, I think, from the bottom of the leaves. So there might be part of one up here and then down here behind. But yeah, he didn't include those. So it depends on if they're in your photo or not, Any other comments? Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Did you find it useful to watch this?
Gorgeous.
Yes, very nice.
Got some new techniques with spreading the brush and then scraping with the fingernail. Those are both new to me. I haven't really tried those, but I think they would be a good addition to our little, set of tools.
It seemed like he got more variety in from his spreading of his brush with the different elements of the palm fronds.
Definitely.
Because the fan brush, it's all pretty uniform, the spread.
Yeah. He gets more variety because the bristles are kind of clumped together in different thicknesses. So it adds, it's the variety that, you know, makes it so interesting. And
Was he using that on the dark colors? I wasn't aware, but was he still doing the spread of the brush when he was doing that, or was he using a
he
smaller?
had it like it was squeezed together, so it wasn't in a point. It was, he made it like a flat brush, and he was using
Okay.
he was using it like the side of it, like edging it kind of.
It was a round brush, yeah.
It was, he worked with the same brush the whole time, but he manipulated the tip of it depending on what he wanted to do.
That's great.
Any other questions or comments?
Do you want us to just do this exact type of palm, or do you care what kind of?
No.
Okay.
Do whatever you want. This is just, I'm just trying to expose you to some different techniques and a different method and approach. I do like, you know, how he did 3 rounds. He did in a base layer got each leaf established. And then he did another round and put in some shadows. And then he did a 3rd round where he came in and refined even more. And I do encourage that. So, and just look at how each leaf is a little different in both the shape, the, you know, the length, the size, and the color. So it really has a natural kind of organic feel.
Yeah.
Okay. We thank our Japanese, his name is Shibasaki, and he has a bunch of different videos. Trees with leaking sunlight, a water jug, a Japanese landscape, rose flowers. So yeah, I'll send you the link.
Okay.
You can check out his other videos too if you want.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move into our critique sharing. Barbara has one here. She sent in her palm tree version that she did in Maui. Thank you, Barbara.
Do you want to stop the recording?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, screen sharing is paused. Whoops. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to worry about the recording because I have to get out of it. Unless, do you want me to? I guess all right, I'll get out of my screen share and I'll stop the recording.